Hello, and welcome to another episode of Generally Speaking. I'm your host, Bill Lawrence. Today is Sunday, January 4th. The big story now, of course, is U.S. attacks Venezuela, kidnaps Maduro. All right, so I've been reading some stories about this, and my takeaway is that it's oil related, but not necessarily that we need the oil per se as much as we want to stop moves by Venezuela to sell the oil, which it's been doing all along, to Russia, China, and India, but that they were planning on starting to sell that in not euros, I'm sorry, in the BRICS denomination. That's that organization that is forming as a counterpoint to U.S. Money system. You know, everything's done in dollars in the world. Oil has always been bought and sold in dollars. It was a deal that was done um, some time ago, I think, under Nixon, that all the oil would be sold in dollars. So everyone had to be flush and full with the dollars, and that made our economy very super above everybody else because our dollar was the world exchange medium. So we could do things like just print dollars, print them, and not have to worry about we printed too many dollars. It was just like making more gold, just making it, whereas other countries didn't have that benefit. Well, Venezuela was talking about we're going to sell our oil in non-dollar currency, and so this was the big issue. I'm reading as far as one commenter was concerned. They were also mentioning about the oil. We've got oil. There are different grades of oil, and this is something to think about. The United States factories, processing centers, when they were first being built to deal with taking the crude oil, turning it into nice gasoline. We're getting most of the oil, more of the oil from abroad than we were producing. And the oil from abroad, from Venezuela and from Mexico, tended to be what's called heavy oil. And you needed special plants to deal with heavy oil. And meanwhile, the United States oil, which we produce, is light. And our plants are made to produce a mixture of the light and the heavy. So, in a sense, we're producing a lot of oil, but it's not oil we can actually use. I mean, straight light oil is not what our processing plants are built for processing. So yeah, we always do need we import oil because we need the heavy stuff. And any rate, so yeah, we can still use the oil from Venezuela, but it was never really an issue until they started dealing with saying they were going to buy and sell and not use American dollars. I mean, I was hearing arguments about for Chevron or Exxon to try and build up the oil industry in Venezuela. You know, back up to where it's useful would be a headache, a lot more effort than it's worth, and that we just don't really need it. We've got, you know, plenty of oil of our own here. So that was like the big thing about they don't want the oil to be bought and sold in non dollars. And there's another reason for that. The fact that the dollar is the major currency of the world is a big deal for the United States. Every time we want to increase our debt ceiling, which we do constantly every year, so we can keep our government going. We always have to borrow money. It's not like we would ever have a balanced budget. We have to sell bonds. We have to sell treasuries to people, which those are essentially just loans. You know, we sell the bond, they buy the bond, we get money from these countries, and we pay it back eventually with a profit for them, a plus. But with countries like BRICS, the BRICS countries moving away from the dollar, trying to sell our bonds and our treasuries is becoming a little bit more and more difficult. And it's getting more and more difficult to the point where we won't be able to sell them. And we're going to have economic stress, and we are having economic stress, but this is going to push it more. And that's a trend that's just been going on and is going to continue going on, dealing with the Venezuelan oil or not. Then, of course, in Venezuela itself, the strike that we did, we kidnapped Maduro. I mean, I'm wondering, how did they kidnap? Does this guy have no security? I mean, he's seeing already, the writing on the wall, what Washington was planning. You would think he would have had better security. It seems like they got to do a little checking in house with the people that are in their government. I don't think you can trust all of them. But at any rate, now the vice president has become the president, and she's saying, "We're not going. We're no friends to the United States. No, we reject them." So it's going to be curious to see how that develops. All right, so there you go. There's the Venezuela story. If you listen to all of this, thank you so much. Could you please put a like? It could be worth a like if you went through that story. And better yet, if you can be here to subscribe and the notify bell, outstanding. Certainly outstanding. All right, let's go on to some other topics. Here's something I was following for a long time. Some people were saying there was something funny about the voting when Trump won, and like there was this one county in New York, Rockland County, where there was a huge vote for all the Democrats. Senates, all the representatives running, all the Democrats. But for some reason, Kamala didn't get any votes. Didn't get any votes. And so there was a lawsuit brought to investigate this, to look at what's going on, and it was trickling through the courts. And it's not an easy thing to get anything through the courts, apparently. There's all kinds of rules, regulations, and what have you. And it was moving along well, but it finally got thrown out. And why did it get thrown out? It's a thing called standing. Standing means you can only bring a case if you're personally involved, if it's something impacting you. And there was at least one woman. She seemed like the linchpin. She was, I guess, a person who was voting in Rockland County, and she wanted to participate in this action. She suddenly backed out, didn't want to say anything about it. And there's, questions about what she's threatened, because she's not giving some, easy to understand explanation for why she backed out. She just backed out, ran away. Don't bother me anymore. Go away. It's very suspicious. So not going to find out what happened in the Rockland County voting. Here's another unfortunate uh, judgmental vote in Michigan. A judge tossed the elector frauds case that was going on when Biden was winning, and Trump was trying to set up a deal where some false electors would say, "Yes, we're the electors, and we voted for Trump." And then there would be another set of electors that actually did vote for Biden. Say, "No, no, 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 we're the electors. We voted for Biden." And the whole idea was make an issue of it so that it would all have to be held up, suspended, and the issue would have to be determined by the states. And the states, of course, were majority Republican. Not huge, but a majority. And then the Republicans were, no. Well, this was a scheme. This was a steal the election scheme. This was an actual steal the election scheme. And suddenly, the judge who was following along wanted to hang these electors that tried to lie and say they were electors. Just threw it out. Just threw it out. Said, you know what? I don't think there's anything here to complete this case. I'm throwing it out. This is really something that should have gone to a jury. They're the ones who decide if there's something here or not. But it got thrown out. Oh, this is the way things go in this world. All right, this is generally speaking. You might hear things not related to politics, and this was one I thought was a really cool video I was watching. It was some stream somewhere, a quiet, not one of these rushing streams, a meandering stream, something you might want to swim in. It was maybe like 20, 30 feet across, and you're just looking at the stream. That's nice. Suddenly, something starts coming out of the water, something gigantic. What is it? It's a water buffalo. These things are huge. You don't want to be on the wrong side of one of these guys' attitudes. And I knew the name water buffalo. I knew they were in Africa. I had a general idea what they look like. I didn't know they actually, go in the water. They go underneath the water. And I'll tell you, that would be a frightening thing to see one of these. It's like an alligator coming up, or a hippo or something. All right, what is this? This was an interesting story. I was reading about World War II, just a little snippet in the Battle of Midway, which was like a turning point, an island in the middle of the Pacific. There was some code being received. The Americans were receiving code from the Japanese about moving carriers to a location called AF. Didn't know what the AF stood for. They were wondering. There was a suspicion. Some people thought, I think it might be Midway. And so, what someone had a brilliant idea said, "Listen, let's transmit a message, saying that our desalinization plants have failed. We have a failure here, and we need some urgent mechanical repair help." And so they did this and kept listening to the Japanese transmissions in which they heard, AF is suffering water problems. And they said, aha, that's what AF is. It's Midway. What tricky people humans are when they come up with these things. All right, Kavanaugh, Brett Kavanaugh, that wonderful Supreme Court person. He said, it's okay to stop people just based on how they look. That's something you can't do in this country. You can't just say cop can come up, anybody come up say, I don't like the way this person looks. I think I'll just arrest him. I'm just going to take him in. I'm going to arrest him. And so, the ICE, they've been going after the Latinos. Everybody's Venezuelan, Mexican. It's okay if you're illegal from Switzerland or, any white kind of place. We're not gonna look at you. But if you're Latin looking, we can just pick you up. And that was Brett Kavanaugh, his decision. It says so. What happened is the ICE agents they now started talking about when they pick somebody up based on just how they look. They would call it a Kavanaugh stop. And Brett Kavanaugh is getting upset. He doesn't like his name being associated with something that sounds, off, fishy, shouldn't be there. Like he knows it shouldn't be there. You'd think he'd be proud of it, if he thought otherwise. But no, he doesn't like them calling them Kavanaugh stops. All right, what happens? We got next. The Trump administration is, deregulating everything, except when it, benefits him. For instance, they've uh, defunded the Securities and Exchange Commission budget by 2/3. The same thing with the Federal Trade Commission, the Commodities and Futures Commission. Regulation is just going out the window. So it's a wild west out there. Corporations are going crazy, doing whatever they want. But they did keep the Federal Communications Commission. Why would they do that? Because they want to go after the media. They want to keep a company that can go and tell NBC, CBS, of course, liberal media, you're doing something wrong. We're going to fine you. You better stop what you're doing. You better just report what we want you to report. So they're keeping that. Well, one of the agencies also they're going after is the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, which was created by the way, by Democrats. There's a lot of talk about the uniparty, the Democrats, Republicans, they're the same, and there certainly are a lot of similarities about them. But the Democrats are different from the Republicans. They created the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, something the Republicans wouldn't do, didn't do, and are against, and they're trying to tear it apart now. But the courts have told them, no, can't do that. Get back. You've got to keep funding this thing. And they said, oh, wait a minute, we don't have money to fund the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau. We would love to do it, but we ran out of money. The judge says, yeah, I'm not hearing it. Don't tell me you don't have money. You got money for everything. You're constantly pulling out money to do whatever you want, and you keep funding it. So this is how the Republicans run, right? All right. So what else? We got this was a funny comment. Is oh, who was it? God, the singer, the famous. All right, is he dead? Is he dead? That was what it was. So someone was saying, is Charlie Kirk dead? Is Epstein dead? I mean, there were no bodies. Nobody's ever shown the bodies. There's no medical examiners reports of what happened. It's like these people just disappeared. Nobody wants to see what happened to these bodies. That's one thing about you kill someone. If you just take the body away, give it to your friend to examine, just say whatever they want. It's an easy way. That's the thing. When you're at the top of the food chain, you get away with murder. All right. So what's this? The water project in Colorado. Water project. Yeah, who can argue about a water project? Trump can, especially if it's in the district that Lauren Boebert's in, because she wants the Epstein files released, and she's critical of Trump for not releasing them. So, you get critical of me. I'm going to not support your water project. Water. Okay, let's just stop that. Well, well, well. There you go. There's the world in I think it's 20 minutes. Usually everything I do is 20 minutes. I hope you subscribed, liked, and notified. And I hope you keep an eye out for generally speaking. And have a nice day.